Hey everybody, Jay Barino here, welcome back. I'm going to be doing a short series covering Metroid Zero Mission, and this was a Game Boy Advance release from 2004. It released alongside Metroid Prime for the GameCube and Metroid Fusion, also for the Game Boy Advance. I'm a really big fan of Metroid, in case you didn't know. Metroidvanias are the type of gameplay where you find items to then backtrack to allow you to go deeper into an earlier area, etc., etc. Really big fan of routing my way through these games and finding an efficient pathway through, without really doing a speed run or sequence breaking. Metroids are very well known for speed runs. They're very well known for speed running by sequence breaking, meaning you're not going through the, quote, intended pathway through the game. And because of that, I actually think in today's day and age, it's almost more unique to try to find that efficient pathway through in the semi-normal path through, as if, you know, you were a new player. So in many ways, this might actually be a walkthrough because I don't expect players to be able to wall jump or what have you. Now, nobody needs a walkthrough of Metroid Zero Mission now in 2022. I just really like this game. I hope that this is just satisfying to watch in that way. So with that being said, let's go ahead and watch the introduction and we will get started. I do plan on playing through on normal difficulty. You need to have a completed save file before you can play on hard. Hard difficulty means that all the pickups give you half of the normal amount. I believe missiles give you 2 instead of 5, so it's actually less than half, and then energy tanks give you 50 instead of 100. So this is a remake of the original Metroid for Nintendo Entertainment System. I think that this is one of the most successful remakes of all time, to be honest. I think in terms of games, this absolutely nails a reimagining, and it does a wonderful, wonderful job. And this game is composed, I would say, 5 major areas with 2 or 3 minor areas. Planet Zebes, I called this place home once in peaceful times, long before evil haunted the caverns below. Now I shall finally tell the tale of my first battle here, my so-called Zero Mission. Samus Aran. Alright, we go left first and grab our first upgrade, and that is the Morph Ball, very similar to the start of Super Metroid. This allows Samus to go into a little energy form in the Morph Ball so that she can gain access to narrow passageways. Would you look at that? So this is going to be pretty fast-paced. It's not a speed run, again, and also because I'm not going to sequence break my way through the game. But because I have a pre-planned pathway through, I know where I plan on going. So I'm going to be passing up doorways and things like that because I know that some paths are dead ends until later. And also just deciding, you know, where and when do we get upgrades at what point in the game for the most efficient time save. You know, just getting things that sort of make sense when we're there. If you watch my Metroid Prime trilogy, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about with how I routed this, and it will make sense. I really love the style of Metroid games. Again, it's one of my favorite series of all time. I will be hitting these save stations, not to actually save, but just to reveal the map. I really do enjoy revealing as much of the map as possible. So, again, we just have to make our way up these long vertical tubes. This is a big feature of Brinstar in particular. It's made up, I would say, of 3 large vertical shafts, and as you kind of get to know them and you know where they take you, then you'll be good to go. But it's really learning that early on. And we're going to come in here and get our first beam upgrade. Now, currently our beam shoots has a very short range. So our first upgrade here is the long beam. Absolutely crucial. If you've seen speedruns of this game, in order to save time, a lot of speedrunners will completely skip the long beam because it's not really necessary. The Chozo statues will refill your health and ammo. That's not necessary right now, so I'm not going to. Jump up to the left. And as we go through this, I'll be explaining some of my pathing choices. A lot of it is sort of gated by the game and what the game will allow me to do, but there are options to get certain upgrades at certain times. We'll come in here just to show. This is where we're going to be coming at the end of the game. That's Ridley and Kraid, the 2 first major bosses of the game. You have to defeat them in order to get to the, well, I would say the final area of the game, but it's actually not, and we'll talk about that later. And then these standing Chozo statues typically will reveal something on your map to give you a general sense of where to go. I'm kind of split on this concept. I think for someone who's brand new to the game, it's very helpful. But you can't get around them since they're standing, so you have to sit on them, and then it's like, well, I already know to go that direction, etc., etc. There'll be times when we just take damage in order to kind of get through some of these areas a little faster. We're going to come back down here, which is blocked off by needing the long beam to destroy those blocks. Though, actually, the top of that area is able to be destroyed. So you could go through here first before getting the long beam. But I wouldn't recommend it. We'll hop over here and get our first missile tank. It's like our secondary weapon here. Press R plus B to fire. Opens red hatches. Also, it's just considerably more firepower. We're going to hit our first mini-boss here. I'm going to lure him to come down straight on top of us. Hit him with a missile in the face. Do it one more time. And that's that. If this thing does too much damage to you, it will actually leave, and then you would have to fight it in another room, just a tiny bit further. Now the charge beam. Charge attack, jump with a full charge. So, this is sort of a poor man's screw attack, which if you're not familiar with that, you know, we'll see it later in the game. But this somersault that we do, where we do a little flip, means that we're jumping to the side. Eventually we'll get a screw attack, which allows us to do damage when we're doing that. If you charge up your beam and you do a somersault before you do the screw attack, it has the same effect. It'll do damage while you're jumping. We can actually use it in this room because we're getting chased by these little flies. And you can see we just were able to kill one of those by jumping. Many of these rooms have upgrades in them, but we just can't get them yet. And in some cases, we will have been able to get them, but I will pass them regardless because I know we're going to be coming back later and we could get them faster or more efficiently. And then there's some where you could get them by, I wouldn't even say sequence breaking, it's more just like if you can wall jump. If you could do clever platforming, which is entirely within the realm of this game. And don't worry, we'll come back. We'll fill in that part of the map later, believe you me. Those blocks are unbreakable at this point. Get our second missile tank expansion. I guess technically our third. And then there's our first energy tank expansion, which doubles our health at this point in the game. That gives us an extra 100. Just keep making our way through Brinstar to the next vertical tube. Usually in this game, if there's a red hatch, it means you're going to find a map or you're going to find an item. Almost every time. Not necessarily, but I would say most of the time. And then the map, actually, that doesn't reveal everywhere you can go. It reveals everywhere that's typically this blue-colored of the map, but eventually there'll be green areas, which are considered secret. And as we start progressing further and further through this game, I'm probably going to reduce the amount of commentary just because, again, it's mostly just traversing through these pathways and there's not that much to say. But I would like to comment on my pathway through and the decisions to go certain ways first and foremost. So there's the Morph Ball bomb. And you can use this for combat, but primarily it's used to break specific types of blocks. So these gray blocks with the red dot, those are only destroyed by Morph Ball bombs. Well, and I guess there's another type of damage that can destroy them, but that's not until much later in the game, and we'll talk about that when we get there. So this door is locked when it's gray. We have to bomb the ceiling, and these really annoying, whatever they are, they pop out, and you gotta destroy them by letting them latch onto you and then bombing them. It's actually the only way. Again, we're not looking to actually save, but we'll hit the save station. Just to say we explored it. Head back down. And now that we have the Morph Ball bomb, whoopsies, we can make our way back to where we got that first missile tank. And if you fail to kill the large spiny snake creature with the one eye, it would actually be in this room, so that we could get the charge beam. Let's go ahead and bomb this floor. Now, this area is completely optional and not necessary to go to, and you will see why. Because this is going to be just a standing Chozo statue, which just gives us kind of that hint on which direction to go next now that we've gotten the Morph Ball bombs. This is saying, hey, go in this direction next to get your next major upgrade. So send me in. I'm not sure how long I want to make these episodes. I want to keep them relatively short, probably like 20 to 30 minutes each. This is not a super long game, and we're going to be angling for approximately 2 hours total playtime in-game. So the actual series video time is going to be longer than that because we're going to spend time on the menu, in the map sometimes, etc., etc. But when the game ends, we're looking for just less than 2 hours. Now, thankfully, those fly nests are gone because we destroyed all of them the first time we came through. This room has a missile expansion in it that we technically could get now, but I will come back and get it later when it is much easier to get. And we get other upgrades. And we are going to the Norfair Elevator. So we're currently in Brinstar. Norfair is the next major zone. And this is the door where we fought the spiny mini-boss and got our first missile expansion. But if we would have kept going right after the missile expansion, you'll see there would have been no way to progress through here until we had the Morph Ball bombs. We'll go ahead and make our way over to Norfair, which at this point is going to function just as a transitory area where we're not actually going to get anything. Alright, so bomb the floor here. It's the only way to go through. You can see there's a different type of block there. We don't have the means to get through that yet. But there's actually nothing we can do in Norfair right now except use it to get to another elevator. But it's just sort of, there's a lot of upgrades and things if we were to explore a bunch of different ways that would sort of tempt us. But that's kind of the fun of Metroid games, especially when you're playing them the first time. There's a lot of things that you see that you can't get yet, and you know, like, ooh, I can come back to this later when I have something that allows me to get it. Or you can learn to wall jump and things like that. So now we're actually in Crateria, and this area did not exist in the original Metroid. So this is where we're getting into the remake territory of things that we can do here that weren't in the original game. Not to mention there's a massive visual update as well. Okay, and then we have to wait for this block to respawn so we can use it because we are in water, so we move like we're in mud. Same with jumping. There's really not much we can do in this Crateria zone right now either. In fact, this is the only time we're going to be coming to Crateria until much later in the game. You see these blocks here. Those are only destroyable after we get this item, which is unknown. So this goes into our inventory, but it's incompatible with our current suit. So now we go back. Again, those Chozos flash at you. That's just if you want to get your weapons and ammo back. It's another missile tank. And then now that this is flashing, we can go up here. Crumbly Blocks, very common theme with 2D Metroids. If you've not played a 2D Metroid, again, the Crumbly Block is a key theme. So this is the Power Grip. This was introduced in Zero Mission, and it's been a pretty persistent theme in every Metroid after it, which allows you to grab ledges. And again, this is new for Metroid Zero Mission compared to the original Metroid that it's remaking. I really enjoy what they added to this remake, and it wasn't just a one-to-one, you know, with some slightly updated combat. There's a lot of new stuff, and it connects it to the rest of the Metroid series very well, thematically and narratively. So now we can hang on ledges and shoot from them as well. Now this room, we're not going to see it, but this is actually where our ship landed early on. We started the gameplay in Brinstar by going down a big long shaft without an elevator in it. big, long shaft. That's right. And that's where we got the Morph Ball at the start. We just made a big circle, and we're just back at the elevator to Norfair. But we're able to get back up to where our ship was now, which is neat. Now we can grab these ledges, and also when you grab a ledge that leads to a Morph Ball tunnel, you automatically turn into a Morph Ball, which is really handy and cool. Sometimes you can jump over those. Sometimes they're little jerks. Okay, another missile tank, and we're just going to go ahead and backtrack to Brinstar because we have what we need, which is specifically the power grip. But when I say we're going to navigate back to Brinstar, I'm lying. We're going to stay in Norfair. There's an item we can now get because we can progress through Norfair by going the other direction, and if we would have tried to go there earlier, we wouldn't have been able to make the jump. So there is going to be a decent amount of backtracking through this series in general. Now we can grab this because we can use the power grip straight to Morph Ball. Perfect. Once we get enough energy tanks, a lot of this type of... the damage just isn't going to matter. It just won't matter at all. I will not like to save. So this is the room that we wouldn't have been able to progress through earlier. But now, because we can grab ledges, we can absolutely progress at our own leisure. And this room is a bit of a pain to traverse, and we have to go through it multiple times, but eventually we're going to get an upgrade that's going to let us go through it very quickly. And this is the bubble room. Or eyeball room, whatever you want to call it. And this is, again, showing off the power grip. You can just walk off ledges in order to get close to a ledge to grab. Now we get our next beam upgrade, the Ice Beam. So this lets you freeze enemies. I think it is technically a damage upgrade, but in many cases it might freeze enemies before killing them. So we can freeze these and use them as platforms now. And we got another save station. No, I would not like to save, but again, it's just to reveal it on the map. I've seen some other playthroughs, and I find it, especially from a walkthrough perspective, where they ignore the location of the save stations, and as a viewer, I'm like, well, what was in there? And it's like, well, it was a save station, but I wouldn't have known that. Okay. Our next Chozo statue that's going to tell us where to go now that we have the Ice Beam. And we're going to make our way back to Brinstar. And this is going to send us to Kraid, which is a zone. Kraid is the boss. You can see his boss room there. But he has his own zone. The Kraid and Ridley zones are not quite as big as Brinstar and Norfair, but I consider them like their own major zones. We'll just go through the lava. I don't feel like freezing all three of those. Alright, and then we want to freeze this guy. Now, this is something people complain about Metroid a lot, specifically the 2D ones. It's not really as much of a problem in the 3D Metroid Primes. But there are just random blocks that have stuff in them, and you would think, how could I have possibly ever found that? And there are tools that you can use to make finding them easier. Also, a lot of this stuff is marked on the map for you. Now, this is silly. I'm just going to go up here to reveal one spot of the map. And then let's freeze this guy. Easy missile tank now that we've got the Ice Beam, and we have to make our way back through this room, unfortunately. This is the last time I think we'll have to traverse this zone normally, because it is a bit of a hassle. There we go. And I'm going to save here, and that'll be the end of the first episode, and next time we'll head to Kraid. But I hope people sort of like this. I know this isn't normally what people come to my channel for, but I really, really enjoy these games. I really enjoy planning out a route for these games. It's just very sad. It's a very satisfying video making experience for me. So I hope you indulge me. I know there's just a small niche audience of mine that will watch this, and otherwise, you know, you could stick with the StarCraft, Warcraft stuff otherwise. Hey, thanks everyone for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.